Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to a special episode of the Ali Radhawi podcast. As you can all tell, today's conversation is a little bit. With us, we have you, a live audience joining us in this conversation, and inshallah, you are all amazing brothers and sisters. And we want to thank the Space Conference for giving us and allowing us the opportunity to bring our conversation to a global level. So let's get one last salawat before we begin today's conversation. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We've flown after Maghrib thousands of miles to be here. So inshallah we can give justice to this opportunity we've been given, and I'm privileged to be in the presence of, amazing scholars and Muslim professionals and everyone here. It gives us amazing levels, if I can be honest about it. But I'm normally co-hosting with Ahmed. As my brother mentioned earlier, he is unable to join us in this evening, and he does send his salam statement to you personally and to everyone here. So alaykum salam to Ahmed Gokul, my partner in crime, and inshallah he requests that you keep him in your du'as. In today's conversation, we want to ask, how can we connect with the Imam of our time, the awaited saviour, Imam Al-Mahdi Allah SWT Sharif within a 21st century story. But just before delving into today's discussion, I want to take this opportunity to also thank the Maghrib organization who have sponsored this segment during the conference. Joining me in this conversation is no stranger to all. Personally, the Sayed is a big favorite of mine. I'll confess to something. I spend endless hours on YouTube, binge watching Sayed giving lecture after lecture, so thank you for allowing myself to be educated through you as a platform. How does that make you feel, Sayed?
To give you good headaches.
Habibi, especially I want to welcome you to the afternoon. I'm Sayed Baqir Qazwini, esteemed, respected scholar. Welcome to the afternoon. Now, you've probably heard igniting excellence and innovation. When I first read that, I thought, first of all, igniting excellence and bid'ah. I don't know if that was the right thing to read. But normally, in the digital world, whenever we hit innovation, we
There are good bid'ahs.
yeah. But, there was a few questions I want to ask before I actually delve into the discussion with today's Sayyid. One is, what is your favorite laqmiyah?
My favorite Latmiya. I remember growing up and listening to the Latmiyas of Nabasa. And who remembers Wa'dak Wena? That was really impactful for me. So I would say that's probably one of my favorite Latmiyas.
MashaAllah.
Does anyone recall it or no?
Yeah. Is it something like that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying. I'm young, so I'm trying to go all the way back and ignore my voice there. I have this question that I've been requested to ask you on stage, Sayed. Yeah, it's not come from me. It's come by someone here in the audience. And the question is, I'm going to say two words. And when I say these two words, the first thing that comes to your mind, I want you to say what is. Now, you may know who I'm referring to, maybe the audience knows who I'm referring to here, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Doorbell. When I say doorbell, does it ring anything?
Yes, it rings heaven. And the name of Amir al-Mu'mineen
Yeah,
alayhi salam.
Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
I know it's gone viral.
Yes, yes,
And maybe some Muslims from other schools of thought have taken it differently.
yes. Thank you for clarifying, and I'm happy, you answered that question. Someone said if the Sayyid didn't want to answer, just say, yeah, Ali, but that's so. One the same scope. Saying that, having said all of this, I want to, begin the conversation. Let's delve into it, inshallah. The majority of our audience here are, young. They're either studying or they're just early in their career path, and in particular, everyone here is majority Shia Muslim. So we find ourselves, working very hard at times, endless night shifts some people might do. People work extra just to earn a living. People, want to earn a halal living. Well, people really want to pursue a career. So we constantly find ourselves busy. There is no time to build a relationship, to start a connection with the Imam of our time, Imam Al-Mahdi, may Allah his reappearance. So the question I want to start is, if we are so busy, why should we even bother to build a connection with Allah SWT?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطاهرين. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is my great honor to be with you this evening at Space Conference and the After Maghrib podcast. Alhamdulillah, I see a lot of positive energy here. And this is an event that I truly look forward to attend, all the way from the city of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali Radhawi. I just came from Najaf and I prayed for all of you, even though there are many whom I have not met yet. But I preemptively did dua for you at the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen, salawatullah alayhi. Many of us are working on our careers. We are very busy. We don't have time to connect with the Imam of our time, which is a paradox, right? One way to look at our relationship with the Imam is to look at the companions of previous Imams. You'd be surprised that the companions of previous Imams were professionals who had full-time jobs, and they were extremely busy. That's something that we forget. For instance, who here has heard of Safwan ibn Yahya? Safwan ibn Yahya was one of the top companions of the Imams. He was a companion of Imam Al-Qadhi alayhi salam, Imam Al-Rida, Imam Al-Jawad alayhi salam. He authored more than 30 books. So he was a scholar. He dedicated a lot of time to knowledge, but he had his own profession. His title was Bayya as-Saburi, which means he was in the textile industry. He'd sell cloth. He had a full-time job. He had a store. He'd work, but he maintained his connection with the Imam. Same with other companions. If you look at their lives, you realize they were extremely busy. They had a profession. They had a field in which they worked. Yet they realized that the path to success is to connect with your Imam. If you think that you can be successful without connecting to the Imam of your time, why do I need my Imam when I have my job, my life, I'm successful, society cheers me, I'm building a family?
Sayed, if I can be blunt, when I say, what I'm trying to say is, what is it in it for us? What is it in it for me?
Exactly. So what's in it for me? Why do I need that connection with the Imam of my time? Number one, having a connection with the Imam of your time maintains your mental health. Today, amongst the youth, amongst your generation, one of the biggest challenges that you're going through is mental health. Anxiety, loneliness, depression. When you know that you have an Imam to report to connect to, an Imam who witnesses over your actions, an Imam whom you can please, an Imam who can pray for you, an Imam who's your link to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that gives you immense peace. That gives you positive energy, and we all need that. You can be the CEO of the biggest company on earth, but you will struggle with your mental health at times. You don't think there are CEOs who commit suicide, who fall into despair and depression? One of the biggest benefits of having a solid relationship with the Imam of your time is to protect your mental health. And I see that every day. I see youth who are passionate about Imam Zaman. Their mental health is better than those who may not have that passion. They're always energetic. They know that they have an Imam who inspires them. That's a great benefit for you. Number two, you're preparing for your akhirah. At the end of the day, why do I only look at this dunya? Look at the hereafter. What's coming next? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you in the Holy Quran, on the day of judgment, He's going to call on you with who? يَوْمَ نَدْعُ كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ with what? بِإِمَامِهِمْ. On the day of judgment, what determines where you will end up is your Imam. If you follow the right Imam, you connected to the right Imam, on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to call on you with that Imam. يَوْمَ نَدْعُ كُلَّ أُنَاسٍ بِإِمَامٍ. That's very important. That's determining my fate on the day of judgment. So these are two quick reasons why I need to maintain that connection. What's in it for me? It's everything is in it for me when I have that solid connection with my Imam.
So that's it. I just want to lead on to that. And speaking of, majority here are studying. The majority are very early in their career path. When we go to our educational settings, when we go to work and we're trying to pursue the career that we want to pursue, is it possible that during our studies and during our work that we can actually serve the Imam of our time? I'll give you one example. Someone might go and try study medicine, become a doctor. That's the path that he wants to take. It involves him saving lives. It involves him, serving humanity. An engineer may say, for example, I'm building a better place for the world to serve Imam Al-Mahdi when he comes. Can we really serve our great Saviour in the work and the studies that we do?
Before we can serve our Imam through our profession and career, we can serve him through our akhlaq. Because that's what he wants. An authentic hadith attributed to Imam Al-Sadiq states, if you want to await for your Imam, من سره أن يكون من أصحاب الإمام المهدي. If you want to wait for your Imam and be amongst his companions, do two things. One, that's everyday life in Najaf. I guess that's a souvenir I brought for you from Allah. So the Imam ﷺ gives us the instruction that if you really want to be amongst the companions of Imam Al-Mahdi, of the Imam of your time, uphold piety and the best of akhlaq. If you are a doctor, be a doctor who inspires people through your akhlaq, through your humbleness, through your compassion. That's how you call people to the Imam of your time. You're a lawyer, be the most truthful lawyer on the face of the planet. That's how you serve your Imam. So one, it's the ethical side. Avoid sins, avoid wronging others, uphold the best of ethical standards. That's how you can serve your Imam, and that's very important. The Imams of Ahlul Bayt really wanted their followers in any field, in any profession, to reflect the best akhlaq. That means a lot in the eyes of the Imam. You have an engineer who has the best conduct. That means a lot. He's truthful, he's reliable, he's trustworthy. That means a lot. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is to use your profession, your line of work, to serve your Imam. And you serve your Imam by serving your community, by working for justice. So for instance, if you're a lawyer, and today we see a lot of injustice. Injustice happening in your community, injustice happening around the world. If you're a lawyer and you want to work for your Imam, get in touch with other lawyers and see how you can protect the rights of people in your community, the rights of Muslims. How do you combat Islamophobia? How do you help your brothers and sisters who are being massacred in Palestine? You need lawyers to do that. You need people in the media to do that. You need people active in universities to raise awareness. That's how I use my profession for the Imam. You're a doctor? Join Doctors Without Borders. Go and see if you can help those who are suffering in the Middle East. So the idea is use your profession, dedicate it for God. And the way that you do that is to dedicate it to humanity. You know, one of the most beautiful hadiths about helping those who are suffering is this hadith. It's very striking. This applies to all of us. Listen to this beautiful hadith. On the day of judgment, you're standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will rebuke me. Don't forget this hadith as well.
So every time you mention the hadith.
To make it memorable, because we tend to forget sometimes. Well, alhamdulillah, that was in a full power outage. The hadith states on the day of judgment, you're standing before God. And Allah rebukes you. Allah puts me to shame. And He tells me, shame on you. I became sick and you did not visit me. Who's speaking? Who's speaking? Who? Allah. Allah is saying, I became ill, I became sick, and you did not care to visit me.
What does he mean by I became sick?
So the hadith states the servant will say, Ya Allah, what do you mean? You're God. You don't get sick. You don't feel pain. Allah says, my servant became sick and you did not visit him. What a powerful hadith. My servant became ill. He needed your help. You did not care. When you visit my servants, you visit me. That's beautiful. Imagine if I can use my profession to help alleviate the pain of people. Whether you're a doctor, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're an engineer, you're a teacher, or you're just, to the world of business, you have your own store, you have your own business. Use it to alleviate the suffering of humanity. That's very valuable in the eyes of the Imam. That's what he wants. That's what the Imam wants. That's his message. It's a message of justice. Give people what they deserve.
Inshallah, we can do this and implement it in our lives. But I think, Sayed, I want to sort of take this question a little further. Let's say I'm working, and I'm in my profession, and let's say I'm an engineer, and I have builders around me, I have, architects beside me, and they've been watching me do everything that you've been telling us to do. I've been good with my akhlaq, I have the best of manners, I'm trying to serve humanity, serve my community. And someone may come and ask, where do you get your morals? Where do you get this? Is it simple enough to say, I'm Muslim and, this is God's laws and we try to follow, being a better Muslim wherever we are. But should we go a step further and say, no, we are serving our Imam by doing this? Because the reason why I'm asking this, because I've possibly been, I think I know I have been, I'll be honest here, in a situation where I spoke about Imam Al-Mahdi. But the person that was speaking with me was like, you know what? To me it sounds like a fairy tale. So when you say you're doing this for this sort of person, I'm serving the Imam by serving the community, inshallah. Someone will say, you know what? This is a fairy tale. How can I genuinely tell the person, bro, Imam Mahdi is real? Literally. Because you imagine, this is all fairy tales, fantasies, all made up. How can we prove to him? Other word, I'm talking to someone who's not Shia. They can be Muslim, but they're not Shia. How can we prove to them, well, this is all for the Imam, and we live to see his return?
That's a very good observation here, right? We are working for our Imam. But those who are inspired by your work may ask you, what is it that inspires you? And you don't want to say something that's awkward and that will push them away. You want to attract them.
Because to some it sounds like a fairy tale.
It is. For a lot of people, it does sound like a fairy tale. So you have to study your audience. Who are you speaking to? If you're speaking to a non-Muslim and they tell you, why do you have this real nice conduct? Where do you get your morality from? Say something that resonates with them. For instance, tell them I'm inspired by Prophet Ibrahim and his descendants. Okay, who are his descendants? That gives you a window. Prophet Muhammad is a descendant of Prophet Ibrahim, sallallahu alayhi. And, a descendant of Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa. That's a window. Now, if you're speaking to Muslims from other schools of thought, and to them, Imam Al-Mahdi is a fairy tale, right? How do you remove this misconception, number one?
Because this becomes tricky at school, at work, even sometimes between friends. A lot of people have Muslim friends, but everyone is Shia. And sometimes it's a discussion that we don't tend to get into because we don't know how to say it.
So here's what I would say. someone who thinks Imam Al-Mahdi is a fairy tale, this is what I would say. I would say, number one, in your books, you do believe in the Mahdi. You're just not sure when he would be born or not. So you do believe in the Mahdi. The Mahdi is not a fairy tale. So don't accuse me of believing in a fairy tale when your books are inundated with references to the Mahdi. That's the first one. Number two, you're struggling with the idea that he's not visible. How am I benefiting from a being that's not visible? They struggle with that, right? I would draw parallels from the Quran that they can understand. So tell a fellow Muslim, do you believe in the existence of shaitan? He's like, okay, yeah. Where do you want to go with this? Tell him, what does shaitan do? He's the symbol of misguidance, the symbol of deviation. Do you see shaitan? Well, there may be some shayateen out there. Not in this hall, alhamdulillah. But you don't see shaitan. So is shaitan a fairy tale? Tell him, shaitan is a fairy tale. You don't see him, you don't hear him, but you believe in his whispers, and that he makes you deviate? That's a fairy tale. Get him to think. You don't have to see the Imam physically to benefit from him.
Now, what if he's not Muslim? And I can't tell him, the shaitan. Let's say he's not Christian, he's not Jew, or say he's an atheist.
Okay, if someone is an atheist, you don't necessarily have to jump into an Imam Al-Mahdi. Ajallahu ta'ala, just start with God. That I have a creator who created me. I have purpose in my life. Start with that, start with Tawheed, and then you can transition to Nubuwwah and Imam and get to the Imam of your time. If you're talking to an atheist and they know nothing about Islam and nothing about God, I would not jump into an Imam Al-Mahdi, right? You just have to be wise with your approach. So if a fellow Muslim is struggling with this idea, give them analogies, give them examples. You don't see shaitan, but you believe in the existence of shaitan. And then tell him. Tell a fellow Muslim that if God gives shaitan, his enemy, such powers to see what 8 billion people are doing and to misguide them, you don't think he's going to give his prophets and the successors of his prophets more powers than that? So that's one way to dispel this misconception that this is a fairy tale. And by the way, one other thing I would say to other Muslims, do you know that all Sunni scholars, they believe in the existence of Dajjal and that he's been living since the day of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I officially saw a statement by Bin Baz where he confirmed this. He's like, yes, because our books and hadith say that, I believe in it. So tell a fellow Muslim, tell him, wait a minute, your scholars believe in some Dajjal, right? Who's been living since the time of our Prophet, and he represents deviation and deception, and that's not a fairy tale. But if the Prophet's grandson has been alive for 1,000 years, that's a fairy tale?
So if we're speaking about Dajjal, there is a fairy tale that he's got one eye. Is it true?
There are some hadiths that describe him as being one-eyed, sure.
Okay, back to the subject of Imam Al-Mahdi, Allah Ta'ala Sharif. The title is, building a relationship, connecting with Imam Al-Mahdi. But I think the most important thing here is having a conversation with him. I know people say, I speak to the Imam, but I feel like he's not there. I recite the Ahad Faraj, I recite the Ahad Ahad, we always read things like Mata Tarana and Arab, like, we feel like it's a one-sided relationship. How can we be certain that Imam Al-Mahdi is hearing our du'as, is hearing our salams, and he's praying for us, and he's answering us, and he's watching us, and he's looking at us, and he's with us at every step? How do you know that relationship is from both sides?
I would ask you a similar question. In no way are we comparing between Allah and Imam Al-Mahdi. Let's make that clear.
I didn't want to bring Allah.
Let's make that clear. But if someone asks you the same question about God, I'm constantly supplicating. Like one brother once told me, Sayed, I just don't feel God is there. He's not listening to me. He's not with me. I talk to him. I don't hear anything back. What would you say? If someone asks you this question, a Muslim, not even an atheist, who's struggling with the concept of dua and speaking to God, what would you say?
Allah's closer to you than your jugular vein.
But he's telling you, I don't feel it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So what I would say to this person, there are barriers removed. Once you remove the barriers, you feel the presence of God. Number one, God is not just a feeling. Today, one of the problems of our modern society is that we're told to follow feelings. If this feels right, do it. It's right. If it feels not right, don't do it. Habibi, I don't follow feelings. Feelings are deceptive. One day I feel this way, the next day I feel differently. Our belief in God, before it's a feeling, it's intellectual. It's an intellectual understanding. I know I have a Lord. I have a Creator. I know my Lord is the source of all goodness in the universe. I know He has a plan. When I see this beautiful universe crafted so well, I know that whoever made this universe is wise. He knows what He's doing. So He has a plan for me. I'm not some evolutionary accident. There's purpose behind my creation. See, simply knowing that gives you comfort that when you supplicate, Allah is there and He is hearing you. So if I'm struggling with these feelings, go back to the intellectual base. Make sure that you really believe in God's existence. Once you do so, the feelings will fall into place.
How will I know Imam Al-Mahdi is pleased with me? I know people ask this question. You know, we always want to make sure Allah is pleased with us. Allah is pleased with us. How do we know Imam Al-Mahdi?
If I'm obeying Him, He's pleased with me.
How will I be?
And what does He want from me? These two that Imam Al-Sadiq said, number one, avoid sins. Avoid backbiting. Avoid wronging people. Avoid hurting people. Your financial obligations, observe them. Your prayer, your fast, your ibadat, observe them. Orphans, sponsor them. The oppressed, help them. This is what Imam Al-Mahdi wants from you. What do you think he wants from us? Follow the Quran and follow the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt. If I genuinely know that I'm doing my best to do that, the Imam will be pleased with me. That's how you know. So when you remove these barriers, and in the morning you wake up and you speak to the Imam of your time, oh my Imam, I know what you go through. By the way, show some empathy towards your Imam. Many times we expect the relationship with Imam Al-Mahdi to be one way from his side. I want to benefit from him. I want something from him. But do I show any care and concern for what he goes through? Because if you love someone, you care about what they go through. Let me give you an example. How many of you during this past month, when you saw images of children being killed in Palestine, you couldn't sleep that night? You cried before you slept. How many times did that happen to you? Imagine you saw a glimpse of one child and that affected you deeply. I know some of you, for a few days, you could not eat properly. Because when you see suffering, you can't enjoy yourself and enjoy your life. Now imagine your Imam who witnesses every child who's killed unjustly. And he has the purest, most compassionate heart. What do you think your Imam is going through during these days? Wake up in the morning and before you ask anything from the Imam and to intercede for you for anything that you're going through, just say, Assalamu alayka, Ya Bab Allah. Assalamu alayka, Ya Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. And then say to your Imam, Imam, I'm really concerned about what you're going through. Ya Allah, remove the agony from my Imam. The minute you say that, you will feel positive energy coming from you. Because now you make it a two-way relationship. And that's why we have hadiths that tell us Imam Al-Mahdi, in the state of ghaiba, during the era of the ghaiba, he's in a constant state of anxiety. Khaif mutaraqqib. Now why would you think Imam Al-Mahdi would be in a state of anxiety? He has Allah SWT. And when you've got Allah, you've got everything. Why does he go through the state of anxiety? One, because he sees all the suffering that bothers him, that hurts him. Number two, he sees maybe perhaps some of his followers not doing enough. That bothers him, that hurts him. So once you show concern for your Imam, and the du'as help you to do that. Du'a al-Nutbah, what are you doing in Du'a al-Nutbah? You're talking about the state of an Imam. أين المضطر الذي يجاب إذا دعا. You know, we recite this verse, أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَ. What does that mean? You're basically saying, oh Allah, I'm distressed. I'm in despair. Nothing can help me. And you're the only one who can help me. You know, Imam Al-Mahdi is in that state. He's the Muftar. He's stressed. He's in distress. لَيْتَ شَعْرِي أَيْنَ اسْتَقَرَّتْ بِكَ النَّوَامُ. My master, where are you? Where is your house? Have you settled down? I have my family, I have my job, I have my routine. Where are you, Imam? You think the ghaiba is easy for the Imam? The occultation is easy for the Imam? It's a trial for him as well. So once you develop that mutual connection with the Imam, you will feel his presence.
Sorry, sir, you've given me some thoughts of Palestine and just reminded me of something. And you mentioned, how does the Imam feel? I remember when I was seeing images, I think for about a week, I didn't call my mom. And when I called my mom, she was like, you haven't called. No, I was like, I just didn't call. No, I think I mentioned this question. So it's true, when we see this oppression, I say I can go further beyond Palestine, beyond oppression. We see right has become wrong, and the wrong has become right. The halal.
Every type of corruption and injustice.
Halal and morality has become immoral, and society has just gone downhill. People ask that question: is it not the time for the Imam to return? When we see all of this, a lot of people, I'm 100%, I guarantee everyone in this crowd, probably thinking over the last few weeks, where is the Imam?
If not now, then when?
Then when?
We understand from our hadiths that it seems the Imam is asking this question. How? Who's not ready for the Lord?
Us.
He's ready. He's been ready since 11 centuries. There's nothing for him to get ready for. He's infallible. He's got the knowledge. He's chosen by Allah. He's ready. Work. And so, consider your Imam asking you this question. When are you going to be ready?
That changes the perspective.
That changes the perspective. The Imam is telling us, if not now, then when? And look at the Muslim Ummah today. 1.8 billion Muslims. With respect to Palestine, what have they done? Honestly, what have they done? In the holiest of lands, what's going on? Children are being killed in Palestine, and you've got these huge festivals in these Muslim countries. And you know what I'm referring to. Who's not ready? Yes, there are a lot of Muslims, and even non-Muslims, who are raising awareness, they're trying to do something, sure. But out of 1.8 billion Muslims, how many of them are really trying to do something? Believe me, if 1.8 billion people want to do something, today they can. They have all the means and the resources to do that. They've got the political willpower to do that, but they don't care. So the Imam's looking at us like, what's the matter with you? Why should I come right now when you're in this state? You want me to fight all of you? The Imam is rahmah. The Imam is not a curse on humanity. The Imam wants humanity to work together to establish justice. The Imam doesn't want to force 8 billion people, hey, you have to now act for justice. Because if he has to force 8 billion people, that means he has to fight 8 billion people. That's not what he wants. The Imam wants to collaborate. Let's work together.
We should, inshallah. We try our best, to please Allah, to please the Imam all our time. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to give some relief to the people around the world who face oppression. Saying that, all these points that you mentioned, and especially this last point we're talking now, the Imam is waiting for us. It reminded me of a hadith where it goes along the lines of, he who dies without knowing the Imam of his time has died the death of an ignorant man or woman. What is that ignorance? What does that ignorance mean?
When I don't have a living Imam.
Because I can't say I don't know Imam. I've always been told about him, and here we are having a discussion about him. What if we die and we die ignorant death?
Knowing the Imam doesn't mean you just know that he exists. It means following him. Reporting to him. Yes, report to your Imam. When you have a leader and you're working for that leader, you have a company, you're working for that company, you report, you evaluate. Do that with your Imam. Recognize that he is your guardian. He is your wali. He's your guardian. He has that wilayah from Allah SWT. Number two, report to your imam. Every single day, hold yourself accountable. Before you sleep, did I please my imam or not? Did I obey him or not? That's ma'rifah. That's practical ma'rifah.
I used to have that example as a little kid.
It's effective, but we don't try it, honestly. We hear it, okay, yeah, evaluate yourself every day, okay, whatever. Try it one night and you'll see. Literally spend 5 minutes, review your day, and see if this day pleased your imam. What can I do to improve that day? That's how you build that ma'rifah. But if I live an entire lifetime not doing that, not caring to report to my imam because he witnesses my deeds at the end of the day, that's a type of ignorance. And then once you report to your imam, you constantly progress. Your knowledge will increase. The quality of your behavior and life will get better. And that's practical matter. But when I don't care that I have a leader to report to, I'll do whatever I want. I will waste my time and I will waste my life.
So you know we're coming near towards the end of the discussion. There's two more questions I want to ask. Maybe we can be brief with them. The first one is, what are some tips and tips? And, you know, I'm not going to say loopholes.
Life hacks.
Life hacks, if we can use that word, to build a quick connection with the imam.
Some quick tips to develop a strong connection with the imam.
Because not all of us can recite dua at the end of it. None of us, for example, can do dua not every fragment. What is so honest?
If you cannot recite dua al-ahd, spend 10 seconds when you wake up. Assalamu alayka ibn al-Hasan. Today, I'll make you proud. Just say. Psychologically, that has a positive impact on you. Because that day when you go to school, when you go to work, and you're tempted to sin, okay? You'll be reminded that just minutes ago, I said to my imam, I'll make you proud. You're less likely to sin. You're not going to become infallible that day, let's just be realistic. But at least you'll be less likely to sin. Psychologically, it does wonders. Just give that pledge of allegiance to your imam. You can't recite the full ahad. Just do a quick ahad with your imam. 10 seconds, believe me, try it. It does wonders. Number two, every day give charity in the name of your imam. Donate to a charity, sponsor a local program, sponsor the poor, sponsor, for instance, the podcast, sponsor an orphan, but do so in the name of your imam. Because when you know that you've given sadaqah in the name of your imam, you know you have that connection with your imam. You feel close to your imam. The imam doesn't seem very distant. These are two very quick tips.
Final questions. I know people are hungry here. We'll do our best to wrap up.
Is the dinner ready or no? Okay, almost ready.
But the question I really want to ask is, everyone here, mashallah, is young, everyone's bright, and inshallah, everyone has a fantastic opportunity to, excel in their careers. Well, I think a question that I should ask on behalf of everyone is, how can we serve the imam by building a family?
Oh, that's the tough question here.
It's like a family, it's a collective family, thing where we get together and we try to serve the imam. I think that's better.
No, let's look at building a family the hard way, okay?
Well, people want the easy thing.
That's fine, we'll let them eat too. I know that many of you, the topic of marriage will give you anxiety. You're studying, you want to work on your career, you just don't have the time. Because let's face it, today if you go and you propose and you want to get married, the first thing that they want to know is whether you're financially stable. How much money are you making?
How much is the mahar?
How much is the mahar? Where are you going to stay? Where are you going to live? That's very important. We're dealing with this reality. But at the same time, if I want to serve the imam of my time, the best way to do so is to build a righteous family that will serve the imam. I have a legacy. Who's going to carry my legacy? My children. And that's why Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was obsessed with what? Yeah, sure, he had an obsession. What was his obsession? My progeny, my dhurriyyah. Whenever he would supplicate, Ya Allah, my children, وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي. Allah gave him the position of imamah, The first thing he said, Ya Allah, anyone from my progeny is going to get that position. He was literally obsessed with his progeny. And Allah gave him the best progeny, Muhammad and Ali. I want a good progeny, but I'm scared. When I look at modern times, can I ensure that I'm going to have good children or no? You can. I can create the proper environment to have good children. But now I'm in college, I'm studying. It's very difficult for me to get married. Some quick tips over here. I believe every college student, every person who's working on their career and they think they cannot get married, they can get married. Just change your perception and be willing to sacrifice. You know why many of us cannot get married? Because our conception of marriage, and I'll be very honest here, I hear this from a lot of these shabab, especially the guys, the shabab, right? Their vision of a marriage, when I get married, it's now royal treatment. I'm a king and I'll be served like a king. And obviously when you're in school, when you're developing your business, you're working on your career, you know that's not going to happen. You're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to sacrifice harder. I'm not willing to do it. If I change my perception, marriage is not this royal treatment where I become a king. No, marriage is sacrifice. You're working for your dunya and your akhirah. You're building your family from now. Look, you're going to live once. Okay? Just once. Do I really want to spend my life just enjoying myself and taking the easy route? Yes, getting married at a younger age when you're struggling is very hard. Requires a lot of sacrifice. But you can make adjustments in your life. Number one, very quickly, number one, do have some sort of financial plan. Let's face it, if you go to your future uncle and you knock at their door and you're not working, you're broke, right? He's not going to say, okay, yeah, I know, but Allah SWT says if you get married, I'll take care of you. That's not going to work on me. Yeah, Allah has said that, but it's not going to work with modern society. Have some sort of financial plan. Even if you work part-time, tell them, look, I can support myself. It's going to take time. Maybe we'll start in a small apartment studio, but eventually we'll get that bigger house. Show them you're serious, you've thought about this, you've got a strategy. They'll take you seriously. But when you go there and you have no strategy, you don't know what they're doing, they're not going to take you seriously. That's number one. Number two, we have to be willing to live a little bit differently. You know how much resources we waste? Here in Canada, every Canadian wastes, on average, $3,000 worth of food every single year. That's fresh food, that's perfectly edible, that ends up in the trash. How much? $3,000. How many hours of work is $3,000? What's minimum wage here in Canada? $15 an hour? $16 an hour? How many hours of work is $3,000? That's just being wasted on food. And then the other types of spending that we do. Look, if you cut your spending, if you just stop wasting resources, you can save a lot of money. You can save thousands of dollars every year. You can work part-time. Your wife can work part-time. You can make it happen. It's just adjusting your lifestyle. But am I willing to do that or no? My ego, my desire tells me, no, whatever I want, go and buy it. We waste a lot of resources. So it's possible to start the path of marriage, even if you're working on your career, even if you're establishing your business. Let's say you're 24, 25, you've graduated, you're working on your career, you can't get married. It's possible. Just have a proper plan, a strategy, be willing to sacrifice. The wife also has to be willing to sacrifice. Don't expect a nice, beautiful house day one. Work your way through it. You know, today, one of the biggest reasons of divorce, and maybe we can end with this, is because the husband and the wife, when they get married, they don't have a shared history of sacrifice together. Okay, he's 30, he's 35, he's now chilling, he's got his good income, good career, and she's probably got her career, right? She struggled on her own, he struggled on his own during the college days, after college, in establishing his career, in establishing his business. Now they're living together and they realize, you know what? I don't need to put up with your behavior if you're different. I don't even know you. Who are you? You just popped up in my life when I was stable. It's very easy now to separate and just go my way. I don't have shared history with you. Why should I stay in this marriage? What keeps me in this marriage? But let's say when you got married at 22, at 25, and you remember during those difficult days, she stood by your side. When you didn't have this much money, she stood by your side. When you were still finishing your degree, she was supportive. You'll appreciate that. Now you'll still fight here and there, but at least you're not going to rush into divorce, right?
They say there shouldn't be fights. There's no fights.
Yeah, some fights are good. You've got some big fights here and there. It reminds you you're human.
Well, inshallah, good fights, we hope. I am married after that. But yeah, we'll end it there saying that, I really enjoyed this conversation, and there is so much that I can take with me back home, try and implement it within my own family. Not just personally, and I'll share this with my wife, inshallah, and for those who would listen to this podcast once it goes online on YouTube, inshallah, that we can all benefit from this today. But I'll give one tip when it comes to saving money. It's only fair I can share something as well. Do you agree?
Let's hear it.
Cancel your Netflix subscription and subscribe after all. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Let's say that you really enjoyed today's conversation, and we really look forward to having you, inshallah, join us at our studios in London in the very near future. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make that happen, inshallah. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. Allah ta'ala for the Sharif, for those who are not married, to get married. There's always a dua I make for someone. Sometimes when I see someone for the first time, I say, are you married? He says, no. I say, Allah grant you an old wife. And then it takes a few years, and I say, I'm still not married, I'm still single. I'm like, the problem, I've been praying that he'd be a noble wife. Inshallah, just try to marry anyone. Well, inshallah, guys, if you really enjoyed this conversation here in this crowd, for those of you watching later at home, subscribe to the
Maybe he wasn't noble enough for the noble.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Let's conclude with praying for the reappearance of our Imam. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma kulli waliyika al-hujjat ibn al-Hasan. Salawatuka alayhi wa ala abai. في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all, and thank you for this opportunity. And we sincerely thank all the volunteers for working hard on this program for the space conference, and all the local youth organizations who collaborated to make this program a success, inshallah. Barakallahu bikum wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi al-Tahirin.
Thank you so much.
Barakallahu.